In this video, I want to share with you guys how to take care of some of the most common scratches and imperfections without polishing the paint. What's going on, guys? Luke here with Wilson Auto Detailing. I want to bring you into the scratches that I am looking at on this test hood. These are scratches that I put into the test hood with some tree branches. The reason I did this is because in years and years and years of applying ceramic coatings and doing paint correction, one of the most common things that happens when you are about to do paint correction or ceramic coating on a customer's car is they'll point out a cluster of scratches or a specific scratch like these that stand out to them as the customer, and they happened because they brushed up against some branches or they brushed up against something accidentally one time, and they've never really been able to unsee this cluster of scratches, and these are not going to come out very easily with polishing. So before explaining anything, let me go ahead and take care of this. I had some 3000 grit discs here soaking in water because I've used them before and I wanted to make sure they were totally clean. I'm gonna attach them to my flex polisher here and spin out just a little bit of the water. I'm gonna spray just a little bit of water on the paint because this is just gonna be a little bit of damp sanding rather than strictly wet sanding. And my purpose in doing this is to have you guys test how long this is going to take. I'm gonna put this flex polisher on a speed 2 and we're gonna take care of these scratches. That was one pass back and forth. I'm gonna take a quick look at the scratches really quickly. So I'm gonna zoom in on the scratches here so you can see what they look like after that initial wet sanding phase. Now, I barely paid attention to what I was doing, and that's actually by design here. I wanna show you how easy this is. You can see that basically the only thing left are the tips of the scratches here that I just didn't go over, as well as in the middle here, the deepest scratches. So what I'm going to do is add just a tad more water right here. My sandpaper really doesn't need to be cleaned. It was such a fast pass. And we're gonna spend just a tad bit more time. I'm also gonna dial up the speed to a speed 3 on my polisher. Now we're gonna come back in so I can take another quick look here and I can see that the scratches are starting to fade more and more. I'm gonna come in for one more pass. Now, I've sanded for basically no time and the scratches are just about gone, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch to polishing with this forced rotation polisher really quickly. Come and show you the after results and explain here why this is so important. Now, why do I show you guys this? It's because I consider the 3000 grit sanding disc kind of this gateway to this whole other part of the detailing world, because this scratch that represents and is basically the same or analogous to any type of common scratch on car paint when somebody brushes up against something, which is unbelievably common. Nobody would be able to pull this out with polishing alone. You might be able to really get at it with a rotary, but you're gonna risk burning through the paint. The funny thing is, detailers who are doing paint correction after paint correction after paint correction are kind of afraid to reach for anything wet sanding related because we're always afraid we're gonna go through the clear coat. The bottom line though is, and this is not sponsored by anybody, but this setup right here is once again this doorway to a whole nother world of services in the detailing world. I cannot tell you how many times in my detailing business I'm on location doing a ceramic coating, doing a basic detail, doing a basic paint correction. Somebody says, can you help take care of this scratch? Can you do this? Can you do that? Scratch removal often becomes a lead generator for me where people are saying, hey, I've got this scratch, I need you to get rid of it. And it's something like this, and the only thing necessary is this right here. This is the whole thing 99% of the time. It's gonna take care of every situation I'm in. This is a perfect polisher with the 3mm throw right here on the Flex cordless polisher PXE80 to deal with all sorts of wet sanding scenarios. And it's a little bit better than the Rupes 3-inch because you're gonna just really rip off a lot of clear coat with the Rupes, and so I do like pulling for this. But I think it's actually helpful to think of a 3000 grit sanding disc like this, not necessarily as a wet sanding tool, even though it obviously is, but almost as a first step paint correction in some scenarios, like in this scenario. If I were to reach for my polisher, I would have never gotten this type of result. I have to pull off some clear coat first, but the 3000 grit is such a safe way to do it, and it happens so quickly. This is what detailers don't understand. Like I said, the 3000 grit sanding disc opens the door to all these new things, but it also opens the door to speed. So I can't tell you how many times I'm on location and I'm doing something with paint correction related, and there's an imperfection that I'm like, I'm not gonna even reach for my polisher first to try to get that out. I'm just gonna go straight to 3000 grit, boom, remove it in 10 seconds, and then come over it with my polisher. Why would I waste time doing anything else? The other thing to emphasize here is when you guys saw me doing the wet sanding, there's not some crazy specific technique that I'm trying to implement here with this particular scratch removal. Yes, there are a lot of techniques that need to be done when you are wet sanding, but in this situation, my point was just to simply show you how easy it is to take your sanding tool, and I could use it with one hand, literally going over this area just like that, pulling off that top layer and then polishing out that area, and it speeds me up like unbelievably. So extremely simple technique that will take you way further than you thought you could in the detailing world, not because you are crazy skilled or you have 10 years of experience, but because the tools that we now have allow us to implement these things even if we don't have a bunch of experience, and it's way, way easier than it used to be. So guys, I'll hook up everything I used in this video in the YouTube description box below. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in a comment below, and as always from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, remember, a great detailer is always learning, and I'll see you in the next video.